Hi there, welcome back to Five from the Archive. This time it's the wonderful Cherry Larcom who joins us. She's a great supporter of Camversation, a fantastic presenter, a wealth of experience. She has a new series coming up all about still life as well. It's wonderful to hear more about Cherry's own background. Thank you very much for coming along today, Cherry. Really appreciate it. Now, I feel like you and I have known each other for so long and across different formats, so it's a real pleasure, a real honor for you to come and share your photography with us
You're
today.
too kind. You're too kind.
Not at all, not at all. And I've said this to a few people, but I know you relatively well personally, but lots of people would be really interested in hearing a little bit more about your own personal background, your own approach to photography, how you got to where you are now, because I feel like you're known by almost everybody in UK club photography.
Oh, come on. I hope not.
I think you're at the top. I think you're there. I think you're there. So can we hear a little bit more about your own background in photography and how you got to where you are now, Cherry, if that's okay with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's most unusual, actually. I don't think anybody will have the same story, to be honest. I mean, most of my life, getting married, having children, photography was just a case of getting an old camera out when you were on holiday and doing snaps of the children and stuff. Never really had a deep interest in photography. And then suddenly it all changed because my husband Graham, he's a journalist, or was a journalist, retired now, obviously. He was made redundant, and it was a really stressful time because he had a good job with a car and everything, and suddenly in a week the car went and the job went, and you got a few £1,000s redundancy, and what do you do with that? Anyway, he'd always had a dream to own his own newspaper. So I gave up my job as well, and we were absolutely penniless, and 3 children at school, and we started this newspaper in Hawley called the Hawley Life, which suddenly snowballed. It was really successful. We started another paper called the Gatwick Life. And although we were running on a shoestring, we had sort of 13 people working for us, and it was really good. But we couldn't afford a full-time photographer. So who got lumbered with the photography, which was me most of the time. So I used to go out and about with a £99 camera, point and shoot, take pictures of check presentations and things like that, not really exciting stuff for the local newspaper, but it was really stressful because you had to, if you were on press day, you had to have your pictures down at the 1 hour at Boots to get them back, to scan in. It took ages, doing it all. But then it all changed because we had digital. And I got a digital, it was a Canon Nexus. It was a tiny camera, the size of a business card,
I remember
2
that.
megapixel. But it changed our lives because I could go out, take a picture, come back, plug it in, put the picture on the page, send the page off to the printers, and it was just a miracle. And suddenly I could see the potential of photography. I really liked the idea of being able to take the picture, do it myself on the computer, and even print it out. The thing is, well, at the time, I didn't have time really to do any other sort of photography. My only claim to fame, and I must just mention this, when we had the paper, was one day I was sent out to do a picture of Prince Edward and Sophie, who were coming to Croydon to do some sort of charity thing for the Rotary Club, and they were publicising some tents. And we went to the town hall in Croydon, and I had my little Canon Nexus, and there were all these photographers with these huge lenses and great big bags of different lenses, and they were elbowing me out the way, because I was there. And then, of course, when it actually came to take the picture, I was the only one that was called, and I was allowed to pass the cordon to take their picture, and they ought to see their faces. Anyway, that was quite a story. But anyway, cut a long story short, after 10 years of doing this, we were absolutely, sort of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We were exhausted, and we actually had a lovely offer to buy us out from NewsQuest. And so we sold the paper. So we were retired, and I thought, well, what am I going to do now?
All that time.
And I thought, well, I'll join the local camera club and see if I could do something with my Canon Nexus. And that's how it all started, really, because as soon as I got there, I saw all these pictures that people were taking, mainly of rust. And let's say Hawley Camera Club were very interested in a lot of rust. But, you know, I sort of were taking pictures of anything really. But eventually I sort of veered towards my flowers and things. So that's how it started. And I was a member of Hawley Camera Club for quite a few years. And at that time, I joined a group called Dapper. You've probably never heard of them.
No, I haven't, no.
No, well, they were we disbanded quite a few years ago. It was Digital Artists and Photography Associates, which was a bit of a mouthful. But it was a chap in Birmingham who set it up, and it was an online camera club, basically. And it was the first one that was ever affiliated to the PAGB. We also got together and were encouraging each other to try to get distinctions, you know, the BPEs and the FIAPs and everything. And so I got really into that. And about 10 years, I suppose, I was working on trying to get distinctions. And so I'm quite proud of what I did at the time, to be honest, especially the FIAP. I loved my FIAP exhibitions because they're all over the world, and it's just so wonderful. You suddenly get an email to say that one of your pictures is now hanging in a gallery in, I don't know, Mexico or somewhere. You know, it's just lovely. So that was quite an interesting time. And then I left Hawley Camera Club because it was a very small club. And I then joined Dorking because it was a bigger club and a lot more challenging. But then after a couple of years, we moved to Ramsgate. So I joined Thanet there, where I became chairman and
Had to do everything.
With that. So it's, yeah, I've been through all the camera club. I've been program secretary, I've been secretary, and, you know, all the jobs really. And also at that time, I started giving some talks, and also got involved in judging as well. So that's how it all started. It's kind of snowballed as I went along, really.
I can see why it snowballed though, Cherry, because I imagine your approach to judging is very similar to your approach to presenting, you know, very thorough, very supportive. So I can see why you would be very busy doing that.
I think what got me into it really was, you know, having been judged quite a few times to different camera clubs, I didn't like the approach of some of them, and I didn't like the way that they made sort of rubbish remarks about people's images, especially when they're starting out. You know, they've put something in for the first time and the judge comes along and says, oh dear, look at that sort of thing. It's not very nice, you know. So I was determined that you can always find something good to say about someone's image, because even if it's just, you know, lovely colours, there's always something nice to say. It's not necessary to be unkind, really. It's a hobby after all, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And we're all enjoying it. So yeah, absolutely.
You know, we're not getting paid for it. It's something we've chosen to do to relax and enjoy. And we don't want to be told something unkind about your work.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank you. And shall we now do a screen share, and then we can pass over to your 5 from the archive? Thanks very much, Cherry. I'll pass over to you to start whenever you're ready.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of my favourite images of all time. It was taken in our kitchen in Hawley, actually. It's an old chair. We had two of them that we inherited from Graham's uncle who died. And it might look nice, but it was a bit rickety. If you sat on it, you'd end up on the floor probably. But they look nice. We had it in the bedroom and it looked quite nice. But we also had a marble table. And this is not standing on the floor. This is standing on a marble table. And we had white walls, so everything is pretty white. And I had this scarf. In fact, I've still got that scarf and I still wear it. And it's probably about 20 years old now. But anyway, I put it on this chair and I just like the way it folded there naturally. I like the lighting as it was coming in the window. I like the shadow. And it was all a bit sort of high key. And I called it Forgotten Scarf. And it's probably been one of my most favourite, not my most successful images in the way that it's had lots and lots of acceptances in FIAP and BPEs. It's had several awards as well. And when I was entering all these organisations for the distinctions, it was through Dapper that I mentioned before. And at the time, Dapper also entered lots of competitions in magazines and things. And they entered this into Advanced Photographer magazine. I don't know if perhaps it's not still going anymore, but there used to be lots and lots of these magazines. And I'm just going on to this one now. One was part of an entry that Dapper put in the advanced photographer. And this is that you can't really see it, but that little picture there, you can see me. I'm standing on the right with a red scarf on.
Yeah.
And this is a group of us going to, we won the competition in the magazine. It was quite exciting times, really. And the chap on the extreme left, who probably can't see enough, is Alan Ranger. I don't know whether you've heard of him, but he's a landscape photographer and he runs a lot of workshops now. He's very successful. But anyway, that's Forgotten Scarf, which I really, really like. The thing is, in doing this, Mark, it's been quite therapeutic, actually, I think. And also, it's really brought home to me that I really like simple and minimalistic images, which I do a lot more now in still life and flowers. But when I look back at these old photos, I realised that I was also doing it then, and I didn't realise. Because I like photos that haven't got a lot in it, that aren't busy, just one subject, a lot of background. And that's the sort of image that I go for. And obviously, it was already in me at that time.
And
It's,
in
it's
fact,
strange, really, isn't it? You know.
well, it's funny you should say that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's funny you should say that because I immediately when I saw this, I thought that's a cherry image. Do you know, I
Yeah, it's
identified
strange, isn't it?
really, yeah, really interesting that it's obviously gone back further than you think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. Obviously flowers, but we used to go to France a lot. We used to have a house in France and we'd go over there quite a lot. And we met a couple who were English, but they were actually living over there. But they had a fantastic garden, huge garden. And we used to go around there and I used to wander around with my camera taking pictures. And I do love the shape of lupins, but the thing is, because it was in their garden with lots of other things behind, there was a lot of distractions. And I think it was about this time that I was, and it's quite a few years ago now, starting to actually do texture work. It's nothing new, really, texture work. It's been going on a long time. And this took me hours and hours. Probably going to do it quicker now. But the thing with the lupin, I wanted the shape of the flower and I wanted that lovely leaf where it comes out a bit like a hand with the fingers, but I didn't want all the background. And this again has done quite well in exhibitions, but it's an old picture, but I really like it still. And I've got a sort of a mono sepia tone version of it as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, it was really the start of my love of textures as well as flowers and putting them together.
And your love of textures, then, that we know you so well for your love of textures. Was this, as an early image, was it as complex as some of your later textures? Is this just a single texture layer, or are you using multiple layers as perhaps you're doing more so now?
I think as far as I can recall, it was just a single texture. I can't remember what it was. It was just literally just two images put together and then you bring through the flower with the layer mask. I can see now I could have done it better, perhaps, but at the time I was very pleased with it. And yeah, I still like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So do I. And I can see why you're still pleased with it after this time. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, this one must be my very most successful image of all time. And there is really quite a story to this. This was taken in France. And I used to carry around with me, and I still do, but the trouble is it doesn't work. I'll tell you exactly why in a moment. I used to have a black sack always with me, so I could sit, kneel, or lie down to take a picture of the flower, get up close. But I just can't get up these days. I can't do it too much. But anyway, I didn't have to lie down with this because it was on a high bank. So I only had to just bend a little bit. And I think that's why I managed to get it as sharp as I did. And I like the background. It's a white campion, Silene latifolia. It's probably the only Latin name that I know, to be honest. But anyway, that's what it is. And I entered this in lots of FIAP and BPEs, and it got lots of acceptances. But anyway, Graham, my husband, is very supportive of my photography. And when I first started entering FIAPs, he said, if you ever win a gold medal, we'll go to the exhibition wherever it is.
Oh, fantastic.
I thought it's a bit rash. And anyway, I'm not very likely to win a gold medal. Anyway, a few months later, I got this email to say my Silene latifolia had won a gold medal, a FIAP gold medal. So he said, "Where is it?" I said, "Oh, Toronto." So anyway, well, true to his word, a few weeks later, we were on the plane. We went to Toronto to the exhibition. They were absolutely amazed that we'd gone. But it's a different world out there. The Toronto exhibition run by Toronto Camera Club. They've got their own premises on about 5 floors with studios and everything. And the chairman was a bit like Father Christmas. He had a long white beard and took us out for a meal. It was really something. And then, of course, the exhibition catalogue came. It was a glossy, magazine-y type catalogue. And they printed this on the back cover. It was on the outside. It was really something. So, yeah, that really made my day, I think,
Absolutely.
my silene latifolia.
And taking part in the real life exhibition and going and seeing it really printed really adds to
Yeah.
that, I imagine, as well. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. You can't go to all of them. And I've had awards since in different countries, but we haven't actually been, unfortunately. Okay, so we go on to the next one. This is, if you think about texture, this is really, I think, an extreme example. You might have seen this before, Mark, I'm sure, because I've had it in talks before. But this was when I was living in Ramsgate. We went to Broadstairs one day and just wandering around, and I put the original on the left there. I saw this cat sitting on a wall, and it was very moth-eaten. You can see, I think it's pretty old. And it didn't move at all. And as I knelt down to take its picture, just its eyes moved and followed me around. It had such a sort of an attitude. And anyway, so I took the shot. But as you can see, there's a moth-eaten cat with awful background.
Mm.
What can you do with it? I just wanted to keep the face, really. And again, here, I'm not really that proficient of doing textures. And all I can remember, it took me days doing it, different textures on and bringing the face through, bringing the whiskers through, but just keeping the essence of the face, really. And I called this one, I Am Not Amused.
Yeah, I can
But
see why.
again, yeah, it's been in lots of exhibitions and things. But yeah, I really love this. And it's just lovely in a print. I printed it and mounted it on a black mount board. It looks, I'm really pleased with that.
But this,
When I consider how many hours it took me.
yeah, of course, a labor of love. This
Yeah.
to me really shows your approach to photography, because I think there'd be very few people who would see the picture on the left and envisage the picture on the right. And I think that's the strength in your photography, Cherry. Thanks for sharing this.
Unfortunately, I did it long before I was giving any talk, so I didn't keep all the layers and the textures, so I can't really say exactly what textures I used, but I know there were lots. Okay, so we're right up to date now. I just thought I'd put this one in as the last one because I did this just not much more than a week ago with some lavender, and it's a little vase that my son bought me, actually. There were 3 of them, and they're matching but different shapes, and I've used them quite a lot. But I do love the simple image. I also very addicted to anything Art Deco, and I'm so like trying to bring that into my photography. It's quite hard, but Art Deco is known for its shapes and simplicity, really. And a lot of the Art Deco still life type images or ones with clocks and things, they often have shapes behind them. And so that's what I'm trying to do, to bring in shapes. Whether it's working or not, I don't know. I'm quite enjoying it, but there we are.
That's the main thing. And I was going to say, you are so well known in our group, in our community, for the vases and the run on the
Yes.
vases. Every time, I'm sure there are lots of people listening to this, watching this, who have already gone and bought a vase after one of your presentations. But
Yeah.
I think we almost had a vase amnesty, didn't we? We were going to set up a vase swap shop. We had so many people buy them last time.
And then to cap it all, I've got so many, but my daughter went to an auction on the Isle of Wight, and up came a great big box full of vases, and she bid for them for me. And so I've got about 50 more, but I've got to get busy.
Yeah, I'll bet.
There's
Well,
so
if you
many
make an
of
image like this, that's fine.
them. Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding.
Mm.
And you can see your approach right back at that first image that you showed us about that minimalistic approach. This still demonstrates that with an added depth, doesn't it, with the graphic element on the left. So I think you are still remaining true to your kind of minimalist, simplistic images, but you're adding a lot of depth as well with this. I think they're absolutely outstanding images, Cherry.
Well, thank you. I think it's been great looking back at them all, and I didn't realise, I didn't appreciate the fact that I had originally done a lot of simplicity and type images. It's amazing to me that that has happened. It's sort of evolved, you know. But
Yeah.
there we are.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate you coming to share those. Okay, Cherry. So you have got someone in mind that you'd like to recommend or that you'd like to share their
Yes,
work with us all?
yes, she's a very modest person. She's someone that I met when I was at Dorking Camera Club, and she was a complete beginner then. And I don't think she quite knew what direction she was going in at all. But since then, I really admire her work because she does a lot of still life, flowers, that sort of images, similar things to me. But she has a completely different style. Mine are very sort of light, if you like. Hers are very dark and moody. Unfortunately, all I've got are some screenshots that I took. This is one of hers. She's on Facebook, but she is also a member of Camversation. Her name's Christine Padmore. Really, she'd be probably horrified that I'm mentioning her, but I think her work is really stunning. This is typical of her, vases of flowers, but a very sort of dark and moody feel to them. Really lovely, like this one. And she has a sort of a knack of putting the light in the right place, I think. But she's got the light here at the top there on the flower, that's what's left of it. And then on that lovely vase, and everything in the background it's all sort of texture, but very dark. And when you look at her work on Facebook, you can see she's got lots of pictures there, and they've all got the same sort of theme, really dark and moody. I love this one with the sort of hydrangea there as well. So yeah, I don't know whether she would be interested in showing her work on Camversation, but
Can always reach out.
yeah, you can. She's really developed into a really good photographer over the years. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of her because of the distance, but I was giving a talk, I think it was last year or it might have been the year before, at Bookham, and met up with her again. And it was just lovely to have a chat. But she's a lovely person and she does lovely work. Recommend anyone having a look at her work.
Yeah, thank you so much. And actually, I'll pop the link to that in the description as well, so people can go and share that. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for doing this, Cherry. I really, really appreciate it, and also for being part of the community, which I know you've been involved with for 5 years now. So it just means an awful
Is it
lot to me
that
that you're.
long?
Yep, 5 years in June, I think. 5 years in
Yeah,
June.
because it was the start of the lockdown,
Yeah,
really, wasn't it?
yeah, may have even been earlier. Actually.
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Time
Yeah.
flies. Time flies.
Yeah. Oh, it's been lovely, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
lovely
for
chatting to
asking.
you as well. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you online soon and then face to face later in the year as well.
Yeah, good. All right then.
Take care of yourself, Cherry.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye-bye.